Hi, my name is Bethany, and today I want to talk to you about what I didn't get to say at my initial doctor's visit for a referral, and also really through the diagnostic process. I actually had printed out papers that I was going to show them or read them or something, and I never had the courage to pull them out of my purse, so that's how that went. This video is gonna probably be rather laid back. I thought about this video whenever I found these papers again, and a lot of people who come to my channel talk about diagnosis, whether they're seeking a diagnosis, whether they just went through the process, whether they're, considering whether they want it or not, what they need to bring. There's just a lot of things that tend to surround the concept, and so I thought, even though this is gonna be a very unscripted and maybe laid back video, I thought I'd share these with you. There actually was one extra set of papers that I had with me, and that was actually a highlighted list of all the traits from the semantic craft checklist. I actually read through all of those in one of my videos. I think it's this side, maybe it's that side. I'll link it for you if you want to go through all those with me. However, obviously, since I've already done that, I don't want to clutter this video with that. So one of the things that was probably most concise to be able to show was this list of female Asperger's symptom traits. As you can see, there's plenty of highlighting. You can find this list. It says it's copyrighted at help for, like the number 4, Asperger's.com. So if you want to find this list yourself, hopefully it will be there. I highlighted a certain number out of these columns. So in this column, appearance/personal habits, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these are highlighted for me personally. Dresses comfortably due to sensory issues and practicality. Will not spend much time on grooming and hair. Hairstyles usually have to be wash and wear. Can be quite happy not grooming at all at times, I think is what they means. Eccentric personality may be reflected in appearance, which may look like it right now. This is a wig, by the way. And I almost forgot. This is merch. I keep forgetting to do my merch shoutouts on my main channel. So here we are. If you want to get this or any of my other merch, it is linked in the description below. So, is youthful for her age in looks, dress, behavior, and tastes. Usually a little more expressive in face and gesture than male counterparts. May not have a strong sense of identity and can be very chameleon-like, especially before diagnosis. Enjoys reading and films as a retreat, often sci-fi, fantasy, children's. Can have favorites which are a refuge. Uses control as a stress management technique, rules, discipline, rigid and certain habits, which will contradict her seeming unconventionality. Usually happiest at home or in other controlled environment. This next column was intellectual/giftedness/education/vocation. Out of these, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these highlighted for myself. May have been diagnosed as autistic or Asperger's when young, or may have been thought as gifted, shy, sensitive, etc. May have also had obvious or severe learning deficits. Often musical or artistic. May have a savant skill or strong talent or talents. May have a strong interest in computers, games, science, graphic design, inventing things of a technological and visual nature. More verbal thinkers may gravitate to writing, languages, cultural studies, psychology. May be a self-taught reader, been hyperlexic as a child, and will possess a wide variety of other self-taught skills as well. May be highly educated but will have had to struggle with social aspects of college. May have one or many partial degrees. Can be very passionate about a course of study or job, then change direction or go completely cold on it very quickly. Will often have trouble holding on to a job and may find employment daunting. Highly intelligent, yet sometimes can be slow to comprehend due to sensory and cognitive processing issues. Will not do well with verbal instruction, needs to write down or draw a diagram. will have obsessions, but they are not as unusual as her male counterparts, less likely to be a train spotter, for example. The next column is emotional slash physical. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I can count, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these highlighted. Emotionally immature and emotionally sensitive. Anxiety and fear are predominant emotions. More open to talking about feelings and emotional issues than males with AS. Strong sensory issues, sounds, sights, smells, touch, and prone to overload. Less likely to have taste or food textures issues as males. Moody and prone to bouts of depression. May have been diagnosed as bipolar or manic depressive, common comorbids of autism or AS, while the AS diagnosis was missed. Probably given several different prescriptions to treat symptoms, will be very sensitive to medications and anything else she puts in her body, so may have had adverse reactions. 9 out of 10 have mild to severe gastrointestinal difficulties, for example, ulcers, acid reflux, IBS, etc. Stims to soothe when sad or agitated, rocking, face rubbing, humming, finger flicking, leg bouncing, finger or foot tapping, etc. Similarly, physical when happy, hand flapping, clapping, singing, jumping, running around, dancing, bouncing. Prone to temper or crying, meltdowns, even in public, sometimes over seemingly small things due to sensory or emotional overload. Hates injustice and hates to be misunderstood. This can incite anger and rage. Prone to mutism when stressed or upset, especially after a meltdown. Less likely to stutter than male counterparts, but may have a raspy voice, monotone at times, when stressed or sad. And the last column on here is social relationships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of these are highlighted. Words and actions are often misunderstood by others, perceived to be cold-natured and self-centered, unfriendly, is very outspoken at times, may get very fired up when talking about passions or obsessive interests, can be very shy or mute. Like her male counterpart, will shut down in social situations once overloaded, but is generally better at socializing in small doses. May even give the appearance of skilled, but it is a performance. Doesn't go out much, will prefer to go out with partner only or children if she has them. Will not have many girlfriends and will not do girly things like shopping with them or have get-togethers to hang out. Will have a close friend or friends in school, but not once adulthood is reached. May or may not want to have a relationship. If she is in a relationship, she probably takes it very seriously, but she may choose to remain celibate or alone. Due to sensory issues, will either really enjoy sex or strongly dislike it. If she likes a male, she can be extremely noticeably awkward in her attempts to let him know. She may stare at him when she sees him or call him repeatedly. This is because she fixates and doesn't understand societal gender roles. This will change with maturity. And often prefers the company of animals, but not always due to sensory issues. So that was the other list that I had taken with me. Now, in addition, I wrote this. I did take like some things that I quoted because, you know, obviously that would add some, what's the word I'm looking for, legitimacy to my argument. And I was prepared. I was like, this is it, guys. It was all the reasons I could think of when I realized I should probably write this down, which definitely doesn't cover everything, but I think helps. So I thought I would share some of this with you. At the very top, I say, please note that some of these things are going to mention Asperger's syndrome, which I personally believe I would be within that category. However, I am aware that Asperger's is now considered autism spectrum disorder, so there is a mix of autism and Asperger's mentioned in the materials, though they are the same thing according to the DSM-5. Look at me educating. Oh boy. Autism in girls tends to affect executive function and adaptive behavior. Girls are better at social masking of symptoms. Girls tend to get overlooked because autism appears differently in them than in boys. Many women are diagnosed later in life. And then I quoted something from A New Look at How Autism Affects Girls by Jennifer Malia. And it's just basically data. So I'm gonna skip things that I quote because Otherwise, this is going to be a really long video, and I really don't want it to be one, so. All my life, I've had difficulty with executive function. I never had a good handle on the morning and bedtime things. Showers and brushing my teeth, to date, are difficult to convince myself to do. This is one of the many things I figured I'd just grow out of. I stay focused on things I am in the middle of, sometimes to the point of forgetting to eat or go to the bathroom, and when finally my body signals me loudly enough about these, I many times postpone them for a few reasons. For example, I hate the whole process of getting in my car and navigating any sort of traffic to go get food, or if I have to avoid people when heating up my own food if I brought it to work. I remember that there was something gross in the bathroom that I normally use, and I avoid going to the bathroom unless it's clear that we are facing an accident in a few minutes. There you go. Very intimate details, guys. Please let me know. Please let me know if you can relate to this, because otherwise this is about to be real awkward for me. I have learned to try to write everything down. I cannot trust my brain to remember, no matter how much I try. I end up all over the place, easily distracted if anyone interrupts my train of thought. I get the general idea, but I find myself completely lost as to what the particular details are. This was terrible when I worked as a server, so working memory basically. I cannot stand either ors, like either they said yes or no, no lemon, or lemon with their water. There is no way to try to reason through these, so I can only shamefully return to ask a stupid question about whether they said lemon or no lemon with their water. I don't know why I went on this tangent in this paper that I thought I was going to share with a medical professional. This is a constant problem. Seriously, if it's not in my notes and in some way scheduled for me to see it at the appropriate time, it's not happening. I don't know why this amuses me, but it does. As for specifically on executive functions, your girl wrote every single one. Now, here's the thing. I believe that I have related to you how I relate to the executive functions in my executive function video. I'm literally doing a series where I do an individual video for each individual executive function, so I don't want to waste your or my time going over that. I'm sure you can find out what I relate to in each of them, but I did write them all out to show where, whether I think I did okay with that executive function or deficits in that area, and examples of when those sorts of things happened. 2 markers for autism include deficits in communication skills and restrictive or repetitive behaviors. Those with autism also often have sensory processing issues. The model for autism really is a model for autism in males. Girls tend to show it differently or quieter. I've noticed that there are things I do because that's what I think people are supposed to do. If you say something that's supposed to be funny, you laugh afterwards. I've laughed so many times when no one else did, and probably only a few of those did I actually notice. I am telling on myself so bad, and this is so awkward. Oh boy. Sometimes people even called me out for it. Others just didn't interact with me much. They think that I'm fake. I learned as a teenager that most likely if a person was being nice to me, it was actually making fun of me, so I would try to keep my pride by responding negatively back. So for the longest time, I didn't get when in movies and shows they would say nice shirt and go hey, and like the person who was told a nice shirt would be kind of irritated and be like, oh, I don't like those girls or whatever. I never understood that for the longest time until I finally realized they are somehow making fun of them by saying that. So that's the background context here. I knew that nice shirt meant 2 different things depending on the situation. I just couldn't figure out which one it was at any given time, so I learned to be defensive, to pretend that I knew that they were just being mean. I didn't have a lot of friends and still don't. For the longest time, I thought it was because they were the superficial ones, but maybe they saw what I haven't been able to see, just how awkward I am. I have had bouts of special interests in horses, which is maybe considered normal. I mean, horse girls are a thing. Sign language, Japanese, and of course an anime, which may be considered less normal, but at At this point, I feel like it's been made a norm. I try to shut myself down every time I feel myself getting interested in things now, because I remember how annoyed my friends would be as I watched videos to do with my interest while over their house instead of playing with them or nonstop talking about these things that don't interest them at all. I try to squash it, but honestly, it just makes me more depressed. Autistic girls tend to get overlooked because they figured out how to mask things in public as best they can. Anxiety and depression are comorbid, and though not officially diagnosed, I'm pretty sure I've experienced both of those weekly, if not daily in some cases. I relate deeply to the examples used in the article explaining this, which I linked but did not print, so I guess I had black and white only, and it was a colored hyperlink. So yeah, after this, I did officially get the diagnosis of anxiety and depression. So go me, I guess. I have some things that might be more stereotypical. Hand flapping, twisting my body, spinning. I honestly thought that people spun and did some of the other things I do. They just didn't admit to it because they were too proud or shy or something. Or they did it in private. But it's come to my attention that these things are not normal. When I go into a meltdown, I sometimes bang my head into the wall, though usually I throw my whole body against the wall, dig my nails into my skin, and pull my hair. To try to calm down, I attempt self-soothing, like stroking my face or my arms repeatedly. It's really difficult to go through these because if it happens in front of someone, they just think I'm acting like a toddler throwing a tantrum, and I have further difficulty handling the world. According to the Autism Speaks website, oh sweet summer child, the checklists for diagnosing autism are meant for children. To aid in this endeavor, I've asked my older sister, thanks older sister, about some things I did as a child that she thought was odd, or just some things she remembered. If you want to hear about all the random things that I could remember from my childhood, I do have a video on my autistic childhood. I'll just link that so we don't have to read all that here. My family thought I was fine because I did well in school. I was considered gifted and talented, though personally I always felt like the stupid one of the smart people. Probably that whole problem-solving issue, so I was referring back to like executive functioning. I did really well in English, writing, and reading has always been where I excel. Math was my weakest subject. For the longest time, I thought everyone was awkward too, and I was told that it was normal to feel that way as a teenager. But as I got into my older teens, I realized that younger teens were more socially poised than me. It was very, very rude to find that out, okay? It was very unpleasant, okay? They cared more about their appearance, they knew how to carry themselves, had confidence, and had no problem interacting. I felt like somehow I had gotten stuck. As a side note, the reason I come for an attempt at a diagnosis is because all my life I've been looking for an answer to what's wrong with me, why I'm broken, why I do these things that nothing else explains. It's horrible. It's horrible because when I can't get the words out fast enough or the right way, I'm treated like crap. I get told I do it on purpose, that I'm lying, because there is no explanation until I found this. It was the first time something fully made sense. And while it's great that I am beginning to understand, if I have no diagnosis, it is just a guess. It's worthless to people I love that can't seem to wrap their heads around why sometimes I freak out over nothing because they're not bothered by all the things I am hearing and feeling. While I want to learn how to do things a better way, I also hope that this could lead to a support system that has been absent all my life, that somehow people might begin to understand. I can see easily why this leads to many others like me being depressed and anxious. It's lonely, and no one can see it. I hope that if I have this, of which I myself am nearly certain, that I will have the opportunity to be properly diagnosed and have a right to the help that it's becoming apparent to me that I need. I may not articulate very well in person, I may undermine myself, I may begin to try to hide it all and want to run away. But this is me, here in these typed words. This is only part of my research. These are my feelings and experiences. I need help. And I pray that someone can see past stereotypes and old models. I pray that writing this is not in vain. I don't know if eyes other than mine will ever read it, but it's okay. Yeah, so it was a little bit in vain writing it. But I had it. Had I had the courage to pull it out. I don't know if anybody would have listened. to me reading that off to them or writing this. I guess after that little emotional bout, I decided to add some more information, which is very jarring for me reading this. I'm just like remembering now like my mindset and how I felt about things at that time, and I'm just really happy that it's a lot different for me now. I don't like using a bathroom that I normally don't. I don't like going places I normally don't. I absolutely hate going places alone, even if that means I wouldn't have to drag someone who doesn't want to go to the store. I cannot stand having to find new places. When I came to the doctor's office the first time, I was physically shaking so badly that the lady at the front desk asked if I was okay. I had to go to a new place by myself to be examined, basically like loading up all the things I struggle with and shoving them on my plate at the same time. I try to convince myself that all the things are okay, that it's normal. I stim in front of people, which I'm sure makes me look like a weirdo, rocking back and forth, patting my legs, stretching my arms, sometimes straight up hand flapping. If it's really bad, I might be twisting my arm or self-soothing by stroking my face. I reserve this for when it's really bad if I'm in public, but sometimes I forget that people can actually see me doing these things. I have to take a while to accept a new plan or idea, even if it's better, because I think of the millions of things that are wrong with it, mostly that it's not the original plan. It's not what I visualized or what I had prepared myself for. And I guess that was the end of, I believe this was written pretty close to my doctor's visit where I went to get a referral. I realized that I knew that I couldn't trust myself to share, which I was correct, but apparently I overlooked the fact that I couldn't trust myself to pull out these papers to also share. So good job, me. Anyway, that is what I did not get to say or share with my doctor or whatnot in my referral and diagnostic process. Obviously, over time, a lot of this was shared during the actual diagnostic process, but not as I wrote it or anything like that. I think after my intake, I just like shoved these papers away because I realized I wouldn't be able to pull them out and actually like try to use them the way I imagined I would. Anyway, there you go. That was kind of personal, I feel like, so Merry Christmas. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts and comments below if you can relate to my writing and the things in that other list as well, the checklist type of thing. Let me know. If you enjoy autism related content from me, you can hit that subscribe button. I do upload to this channel every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you to everyone who supports me here on YouTube as YouTube members, my patrons over on Patreon, and a special thank you to my Spaz Tier patron, Marie Johansson. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!